I'm Linda, and today's Machine Minute is brought to you by the Baby Lock Crescendo machine. Today we're going to talk a little bit about adding the borders to your quilt. I like to wait until I'm done piecing my top before I cut those border strips, and here's why. There can be a little variation in your seam allowance throughout your quilt that can really make a difference in your quilt. In addition, I have noticed while we all try to piece perfectly, sometimes your quilt's a little off, where one side border might be a ½ inch different than the other side border. So if you cut ahead of time, you may be in trouble, but also if you just match up to your side borders, you can also be in trouble because you can just continue that problem. So here's my solution. I measure each side of the quilt before I add the border to it, and then I also measure down the center. I take those three numbers, hopefully they're the same, but if they're not, I take an average and then I cut my two border strips to that average length. Then I match the ends and the center, and then match the center points between those 2 points. At that point, if my border is longer, whichever piece is longer, I put down toward the feed dogs in the machine as I feed it in. And that can take care of any small adjustments you need to make those borders fit the quilt. The reason you want to go through this process is that you want to make sure that your quilt lays flat. If you're not careful when you're adding your borders, that's where you get that ripple and that waving, and it's harder for you as you're finishing it, and it's also harder for the quilter as they're quilting it. So take the time, measure your quilt, and make sure that your borders fit well. That's all there is to it.